This video is one in a series of videos that cover database topics in 3 themes. We look at Oracle APEX, Application Express for web applications, relational database concepts for designing and building databases, and SQL, the programming language for working with a relational database. If you want to work with the video series, you can go to this URL to get the scripts and handouts. In this video, we're going to use the Query Builder feature in APEX and have it help us create a report that combines information from more than one table. We'll create a report about people, and we won't show all the columns in all the tables, but we will use more than one table in the report. We'll also create a report about animals. So I'm logged into APEX as one of the developers. I'll go into the application builder, go into the developer application, and let's start by clicking Create Page. It'll be a report. It'll be an interactive report. And I'm going to number this 100, and I'm going to call this the People Report. I do want a navigation item. I'll put it under People, and it'll be an SQL query. So notice when I select Query, the option to pick a table goes away. So I'll click inside this box and look at the tools. You've got validation check for your SQL. I want Query Builder. So I'll click on that. We have kind of an object browser view here with the tables listed to the left. This would also list any other stored queries, which are called views. I'm going to select person, and it appears over to the right. I'll select employees, and I'll select zip. And I'm actually I can move these around as you can see. Persons is related to zip, and persons is related to employees. Now the important thing to do here is join these. If you do not join a table in a query with some other table, then you will get junk output. So to start with, I will click in zip out to the right in that last column, and then I will click in the corresponding column in persons. The order in which you do this, either here or here first, does not matter. How do we join these? It'll be pers ID to pers ID. The next thing we do is start selecting what we want to see. I want to see just city, state, and I want to see first name, last name, and phone number. And from the employees, I want role and status. Down below in the lower half of the screen, we're seeing the column and any alias that we might want to use. So I, for example, can switch this. I'll be consistent and use caps. So this is what I'll see. The alias is what I will see instead of the column name. And I can do phone with a space and do something like a pound sign. I have a sort order. I can put a sort order. Let's say that I want to do it by state first, then city, and then last name. If you want to test this, you can do a run and scroll down, and we're seeing 27. If you've watched the other videos, you know why we're seeing 27 when in fact we have over 100 people in the persons table. It's because we've joined it with employees and we're getting only persons that are employees. I can change that by right-clicking on the relationship and selecting outer join. And I don't see a consistency in how this visual representation reflects which join you want, left or right. I don't worry about it. I just select one until I see the right number or till I see the symbol where I want it to be. So if I want this plus sign to be over here, I would simply select the relationship again. Actually, it's not a right click, it's a left click, and then I could pick. So let's try it. Let's run that and scroll down, and I'm getting my 122 records. So now I've got my outer join, which we've done just by editing the source code of a page in Apex before. So I'm going to go ahead and hit return and have this report created. Now this is an interactive report. It's not an interactive grid. We don't want to have people trying to make changes. We just want to provide some data. So we're definitely seeing people who are not employees. And we're seeing the N's before the T's. I think New Mexico and Texas are the only things I have. So we're getting our sort. But we can always change that on the fly as we're looking at the report. Keep in mind we also have the ability to download. Go to the page designer, select the report, go to the SQL query, and you see what was created for us using the query builder. So maybe I should make an SQL video after I complete the series and talk about the plus notation that you see here. This is somewhat different than what we had when we edited the source code ourselves. We used inner join, left outer join, right outer join. The plus notation is an alternative to typing in the words left outer join, right outer join. But I won't get into that right now. So we have that one report. Now what I want to do is show you that you can go to Object Browser and you can create a query without actually using the Create Page feature in Apex. So I can come over here to the plus sign and say I want to create a view. A view is a stored query. So I'm going to do v underscore and animals available. Go to Query Builder and I will select animals. I will select status and I will select dominant breed. So this is going to be a report that will be publicly available. You won't need a password to look at this report. So we don't want all the columns being displayed. First I'll join the tables. That would be dominant breed or dom breed ID to dom breed ID. So click here out to the right and then click to the corresponding column in the other table. And it's there. It just was sitting on top of the other table, status. On status, it'll be status ID to status ID. Then I will select category, mix, size, name, sex, spayed, neutered, house trained. I won't put in the chip number. I'll put the estimated date of birth. And then from the related tables, I'll put the text for status, not the number. And you can see that's indicated here. The ID is a value, not text. And over here, I'll do dominant breed. So we see those fields in the lower half of the screen. I can look through the alias and see if there's anything I want to adjust. So I could say estimated size, and I'm going to move name up. This would be spayed, neutered. House trained. Estimated date of birth. Status. Dominant breed. I can run that. And I'm seeing 53, which I think is right. The one thing you need to be careful of is if there's any animal record that doesn't have an assigned status or any animal record that doesn't have an assigned dominant breed, then that record will not show up here. So in order to avoid the issue of a record dropping out, then you might want to make those fields dominant breed ID and status ID required fields if they're not already. So let's run this and see what we get, and then return and click next and create that view. So that view is something available here in Object Browser. We can come back to the application, do a create page, do a report, interactive report. This is going to be 102, and this will be available animals. I want to create a navigation item. I'll put it under animals. I'll select table. And notice a view, which is a stored query, is treated like a table in this situation. It's not always treated exactly like a table, but it really is a temporary dynamic table that pulls data together whenever you run the query. So we can click on that. If we wanted to adjust the columns, what we see, we could do that, but we already did that. So let's do a create, save, and run. So you've seen two ways to use the query builder. You can independently create a query, or you can launch Query Builder while you're in a create page wizard within Apex. What I want to do at this point is I only want animals to show up that are available. So what I'm going to do is go back to the object browser. Over here to the left, I will move from tables to views. I will click on this, and once you've created the code, you can't go back into Query Builder. So I can go to the code, though, itself and modify the code. So click on Code, and I want to add in the where clause, I want to add where status equals available. I want to flip back here and make sure that I had the right use of upper and lower case. So let's give that a shot. We will save that, save and compile. And it says query not properly ended. And it says successfully compiled. So I was missing the and. If I come back to my report and do a refresh, I'm automatically getting a filter on available. I know I could filter up here, but I really don't want to show to the public animals that are not available for adoption. So the Query Builder is a very nice tool, but once in a while you still need to go to the SQL. We could have added this criteria while we were in Query Builder, but this shows you how to edit the code once Query Builder has completed the query. Let's edit this page, and you want to have the page itself selected over on the left, and scroll down, and here's the security scheme. Select page is public and save that, and we'll run that. So what I'm going to do is copy this URL, including the page number, and I'm going to launch a different browser. I'll paste in the URL and I'll hit enter. And here we see the public report. But if I click on anything else, I'm going to get prompted to log in. An even better approach for the public report would be to go to Application Builder and create an application. And this will be only for the public page. So we'll call this AS for Animal Shelter Public. I don't guess I need the underscore. And I'm going to use red just to make it look distinctly different. I'll go ahead and create the application. I'm going to delete that page. Assuming that we'll only have one public report. And I'll edit any page. It doesn't matter which one. I just want to go get a copy of a page. It's a page in another application. That'll be the daily operations. It will be it's outside your screen, but it'll be available animals. I want that to be page 1. I don't want a navigation menu, and we'll finish that. Then we'll go to the application and we'll run that. So what shows up is public. I could do some editing here. There's nothing to see here but the public application. So the URL that we would use or post would be this URL. Launch another browser, paste that in, and that's what they see. There's no menu that they might even try to click on. There's something else I want to do here in this public application. I want to create a form that pops up. It's in modal mode, and have it just show the animal picture if there is a picture for an animal. So I'm going to go back to Page Designer, and right now the report is coming off the view. We see that when we select the report over on the left and look at the source on the right. So it's looking at a table or a view, and it's looking at the view that we created earlier. However, what I want to do now is click on SQL Workshop and go to Object Browser, and I want to copy that code. So I will look at the views, select that view, select the code, and copy that code. Then I'll come back to the report in Page Designer mode, and I'll switch from table to SQL query. Now the problem with the code that is generated here is it has created SQL code that uses the view. I want to use the original sources, the table, animals, status lookup, and major or dominant breed lookup. That's why I wanted to go to the view itself and add in the code. I'm going to pause the video while I hit the return key in a few lines to make this more readable. So in order to use the report to call up a record or a photo specifically from the animals table, I've got to use the primary key field, and that's not included in the view at this point. So rather than altering the original view, I'm going to edit this code. And I will do a video about the SQL for creating a view and talk about what we have here. Using the query builder gives us code that's a little cluttered. There's some things in here that we don't actually need, but I will create a video and talk about that. Actually, all I want to do, I want to get rid of everything up to the select. So what I need to do here is add to this animal underscore ID. I don't actually need the name of the table, animals underscore ID. And let's check and see if that's valid. And I think what I need to do is get rid of the /. Let's try that. Successful. Click OK. And then if I look over here on the left-hand side, I see animal ID has been added. Now I'm going to make animal ID, I'm going to make that a hidden column. In the case of a public report, we don't really need that primary key value displayed, but we need it in order to go retrieve the associated photo. And I'm going to name the link, but first I have to create the report that I'm going to open up, or the form I should say. So I'm going to create a page. It'll be a form on table. I'm going to make that 2 and call it animal photo. It'll be modal. I'll click next. No menu navigation item. It'll be based on the animals table. I want most of these. I'll just pop everything over to the left, which means it won't be displayed, and then I'll bring over animal ID and name and picture. And I'll click next, and I can manage that either by row ID or primary key. And then I need to make sure that on the page I make this a public page. All the pages in this application should be public. And this is probably the only other report page that we will, or application page that we'll have. I will also come over to, let's see, animal ID is hidden. That's fine. This will switch to, it'll be display image. Scroll down and make sure that the source for that is the right column name, animal underscore pic. I will come over to the left side and I will get rid of these region buttons. We're not going to do any kind of editing here. We just want to see that picture. So I don't need the buttons section. Animal ID is hidden. Name will be display only. And we will save that. Notice if I click to run this, it says you cannot run a dialog or modal page without having it launched from the calling page. So I will go to page 1 and I will click on name and I will make that a link, have it open page 2, look at page 2 animal ID when it's equal to animal ID here and click OK. I'll save that and I'll run that. So I looked at beforehand and made sure I had a photo for Ada and Alex, and that's why these are in sorted order. So if I click on Ada, I see the picture and I can close it. Now Alex is going to look just like Ada because I don't have that many pictures. But I think this is a nice feature because it allows us to display the photo as a pop-up as somebody scrolls through and looks at the animals that are available for adoption. See you in the next video.